I do at camp. I have been a counselor for all the age groups of kids. I've done it for elementary school kids. I've done it for middle school kids. I'm about to do it for high school kids. And one thing has stayed the same about all my experiences at camp. I love seeing the change they make from the first day to the last day. You'll have some kids that come, they're very shy, they're very reserved, they don't want to share, they don't want to talk. By the end of the weekend, they're very open, oh, I loved my grandma was great, this cookie reminds me of my grandma. They're just all about talking now, and they love sharing. And, that's kind of like how I felt when I first went to a camp in Wisconsin with my good old Uncle Fred. I remember going just feeling real alone. Like, no one really understood what it was like to lose a dad. No one really understood, how it felt for me to hear them say, hey, me and my dad went and played catch today. It was a great time. For me, just to be like, oh, that's great. My dad can't play catch with me. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
It's all right.
I love being at camp every year. I love helping out, I love seeing the kids, and I love just knowing that I've made a difference in someone's life and I've helped them express their grief more clearly. I hope this camp goes on forever. I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful legacy my dad has left. And thank you for all of you for supporting us over the years. From the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello. So my name is Zach. I don't know most of you, but I'm Lynn's nephew, Tanner's cousin, and I was Dan's nephew, obviously. So I actually, leading up to this, was told I was gonna give a speech. So I actually prepared a decent amount of stuff, so you're gonna have to bear with me, unfortunately. Because I put the work in, so I want to actually say
Go for it!
on the drive up, they tell me oh, you just talk what you do. I'm like, oh, hell no. I actually put together so you're gonna have to, rehearsed it, all this crap. So.
Good, go get him.
Yeah. So,
stage is yours.
This guy knows. So, basically, I actually wasn't super close to my Uncle Dan. My really only memory of him was when I was younger. When he was in recovery, I got to spend a couple of days with just him. I used to go over there, I was a kid, I only wanted to hang out with my cousins. And it's just oh, it's Uncle Dan, and let's say they're talking to my parents, I'm not gonna really interact with them. But because he was going through chemo, it was kind of a thing, it's you should spend some time with him because you don't know how long he might have left, right? So I got to spend a whole day, it was really cool. We ate ice cream, we played PlayStation, I was oh my God, Uncle Dan plays video games, it's the coolest thing. I thought it was amazing. We waited till the boys get off school, and it was this amazing thing, and after that we were best friends, I thought, I was he's my favorite uncle. Sorry, Steve.
Christmas is going to be bad.
It's never super great, let's be honest. Yeah, so, and I would say Dan's death was the first death that I experienced where I was old enough to kind of see that it was okay, he's gone, right? This is loss, and this is grief. And I think for some reason, because I was so close to my cousins, and this being maybe the first death, I kind of took it upon myself. I felt like I had to contribute in a way that I could. And I was in 5th grade going into middle school, so I really, obviously the only way I could help is by babysitting my cousins, which was just going over to hang out with them. But it let my aunt go out and do stuff, and I was look at me, I'm an adult, I'm helping her, she gets to go she used to play games with the other ladies on the street. It was a huge thing for me. I thought I was contributing. Again, I wasn't. I was just helping out in terms of playing with my cousins. They're my brothers, so it was no skin off my bones. It was awesome. So I used to go to their house, every weekend for probably, 5 years, like middle school and high school,
Wow.
like halfway through high school. And in my mind, I was like helping her out. And when she started dating Matt, I was like, success, that was all me. That was all me. So I take all credit for that. You're welcome. But when the camps, going into the camp, when Camp Hope started, it was kind of like the same feeling where I was like, oh, this is this cool thing. Like, I want to be a part of this, I want to help contribute. And when Tanner went to like the first camp, and we had I think the first 2 camps I wasn't able to attend, at least the ones in Sacramento. But I know going into the next year, I really wanted to be a part of this. So I kept asking my aunt, and like luckily I was able to be a go-to guy, which is what Mike Frame, my dad, does. And go-to guys, they're like the guys who basically do like the grunt work, like moving the tables, the chairs, like getting things ready, cleaning, all that stuff. But I really enjoy hanging out with kids, so I just totally did not do any of my responsibilities as a go-to guy.
No, he did not.
Yeah, I would go play with the kids. I wanted to be a part of the whole process. I wanted to go in the jump house, go swimming, wanted to enjoy the camp, and I would get like, my ear chewed off. Need help? I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's not fun. So basically, I got to kind of sneak out and get a taste of the processing, right? And I would like hang out with the kids. I wanted to have fun. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm doing a lot more if I'm like having fun with the children and like playing with them and like being a part of this grand thing. As I got older, I started to really take the go-to guy responsibilities a lot more. But again, any opportunity I had, I seized it to get out of there. Because I really enjoy working with kids. So for me, it was like this cool thing. I also like being around my cousins. I wanted to be a part of it. But unfortunately, like I couldn't be a junior counselor because I hadn't been a camper previously. I had just kind of come to help. And I'm not like a trained therapist in any, capacity. These guys have doctorates and masters. I don't. So I thought basically the extent was for me to be a go-to guy for my help. Luckily for me, like 5 years into the camp, it would be 4 years, I randomly got asked by my aunt if I wanted to help counsel. Which of course I was like, no, never. That sounds terrible. Why would I, No, of course I like jumped on the opportunity. I was like elated that she even asked me. It was kind of like out of nowhere. And so I got to do my first counseling session with the middle school boys, younger middle school boys, like 5th graders, which almost like made me never want to do it again, because that's like the worst group, notoriously, in terms of behavior. But again, just being there and like from all I had observed and putting, what I had taken from like all the counselors I got to talk to, I guess I did a good job because I've been a counselor ever since. So it's been like, 5 years now, 6 years. I try not to miss a camp. I found out later that a lot of the counselors actually told my aunt to let me be a counselor because they saw how good I was with the kids and how much I enjoyed it and like how much I wanted it, which meant a lot. I've worked with every age group. I've worked from like the little girls to the teenage boys. I got to experience the wide variety, and there's one thing Tanner touched on that stays true, and it's the one thing that I know that this camp works. It's because they come in not wanting to be there, like crying, and they're like, I don't want to go to grief camp, I don't want to talk about this person I lost. That sounds like it's going to be a terrible time. Grief camp just sounds bad, realistically, let's be real. But at the end of on the last day, they're crying, not tears, more like they're sad because they have to leave. Because they got this chance, it's so freeing for them, They never really got to process this. They get to basically talk to another adult, but it's a lot easier for a little boy who lost his dad to share with another little boy who lost his dad, right? It's a lot easier for me as a child to open up to another child rather than some adult who I don't know, I don't respect, right? They don't know how I feel, they can't relate. And that for me is like why I know this camp is so impactful. And why I work with kids now. I want to do that as my career, and I can attribute all that to Camp Hope.
Nice.
Yeah. I can tell you it showed me that you only need a small amount of time to really have an impact on someone's life. We have had people now that have come back and become junior counselors who were once campers because it changed their lives for the better, and they want to help do the same to, onto someone else. And overall, like, it's just this amazing thing, and the fact that I get to finally come here and see a lot of the people that help make this possible is awesome for me, And again, like Tanner, my reasons aren't that I'm shy. I'm just like kind of introverted a little bit, but I would love to like meet you guys and introduce myself and get to talk to you, because it's been an honor to work for Camp Hope, and it'll be an honor to continue to work for Camp Hope. And I would just like to thank you all again for making that like a possibility. So thanks. So before I go, I was told I'm supposed to ask if anyone has any questions.
Can you golf?
Do I golf? I golf poorly.
That's all right. So do I. You know Jim. Hey, I came in second place today, and I golfed poorly.
I'm told, like, that's like a requirement to be in with this group. So I think I might fit in pretty well.
Come on out and fair golf.
Hey, your uncles all play poorly too.
Yes, we
I have a question.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Monetary accomplishments does not equate to mental maturity. So
Okay.
in this group, would you be willing to help us with a Care Bear?
Of course, And like my grandma.